Something's going wrong here. This isn't working very well.
No, it's live. Why is it live?
We're in.
But no one else seems to.
I think it bypassed the intro, so let's go back to the intro. Hang on. Welcome to November Foxtrot, the show brought to you since 1933. Andy and I have found that we can play with some settings and turn our microphones with all sorts of weird and wonderful ways.
Mine can't because I haven't got my box.
I will now try to get back to what it should look like.
Without fucking it all up.
As quick as I can. There we go. That should be there now.
That's right.
Good evening. Welcome to the show. Lance can't join us tonight, unfortunately. He has a prior work commitment. But Rage says, I was watching Kent Survival. Can you not come back in 30 minutes? Well, you can rejoin us in 30 minutes, Rage.
Yeah.
That works better.
That's fine. You don't miss a lot. Like, you should know this by now. There's not a lot you miss.
Hi, James, and the other two of you that are there. Hello. Hi, Harry. Jigglypuff Gas, Les says, what the fuck? Landnav Challenge, hello. Fat Pigeon, Chris, Pegasus, good evening, welcome. We're back. Part 2 of the Camouflage series.
Camouflage.
Very exciting. It's not really any distinct secret, but we use ChatGPT to write the spiel for the episodes because it just saves time, to be honest with you. It's like a predefined format, and then we put some stuff in, and it comes out with some kind of generic bits and pieces to do with the show. But I asked it to do tonight's one, and I said, I just like pleasing the robots every once in a while, because when the robot uprising happens, we want to make sure that it doesn't come for us. You have to be nice. You have to be polite to them. They'll remember. They've got terabytes of memory.
Fuck you, robots.
So anyway, I said thank you. After it gave me the spiel, I said thank you, and it went, you're very welcome. Glad you liked it. Good luck with episode 185, and have fun blending in or standing out with all that camo talk. And it made me proper laugh.
Getting chatted up by ChatGPT.
Yeah. It's my new friend. It's the only way I can make friends.
Yeah. Oh, no one loves me.
No. Pegasus says, is that a new house background? No, this is still the background of my bedroom. Week. I am.
No, come on.
Yep.
Move.
I am moving house next Friday. It has been confirmed with exchange contracts. We are going to be moving house. So as of there won't be next episode, but the episode after, that will be in the new crib. It won't be in the new studio setup.
No, because we've got to come down and build that, haven't we?
Take a little while to build that, but
we haven't done it in a week.
Yeah. It may become a potential studio space for the show in the future. Not regularly, because it'll be a ball ache for everyone to have to travel down to my house, but potentially for some longer shows if we decide to do any. So there you go.
If he's nice and lets us in.
Yeah, Mike is already selling us out to the robot overlords. Not selling you guys out, just making sure I've got myself covered.
He's like that with a robot.
Just WD-40 all over the face.
Yeah. Oh no, it's in my eyes. Oh, I'm all greasy.
Oh, that's a mental image that we don't really want to.
Yeah. Told you, Rage, you wouldn't be missing much, didn't
I? Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about camouflage tactics. We're going to be talking about DIY camouflage. Andy's disappearing. Yeah, basically a whole blend of bits and pieces that we didn't get to talk about last week. So this is the second in our 2-part episode. One thing I did just want to share, so a little bit of purchases throughout the week, is I didn't actually buy this, to be fair, but if anyone's interested in the US Marine Corps military issue Woodland BDU Don't know why it's a PDU. Camouflage reversible combat tent. This is an indication as to how much they're currently going for on eBay. They are £250 on there at the moment. This is one that has popped up. I would suggest shopping around. It's very good condition, this tent.
I'm back.
But basically, they are very good tents, but you can get them cheaper. So if you're in the market for them, I rage about these quite a lot because I think they're great. Just don't get suckered in because you can get them. I think Ross bought one, Military Odyssey. So Ross, one of the listeners to the show, bought one of Military Odyssey for £150, something like that. So yeah, let's bear that in mind. Nice. But what I did buy and what I wanted to talk to you about, Andy, even though I did explain it briefly before the show because you know what it was, is this. So for those that are aware of the mosquito tents, the mosquito net systems that go on the British Army cots, this is a great little setup for kind of keeping bugs and that away. I bought mine for, I think it was £20 a long time ago now, after an Octo event where we spent the night in a spider and other bug infested cabin. Woke up in the morning, something had bitten my hand, and I'm not even kidding. My hand was like, all swollen up on one side. So didn't want that to happen again. Yeah. So for the sake of 20 quid at the time, just having something I could put over my cot bed, just kind of keep the creeper crawlies away. Quite a good little setup. I do sometimes use this as well for the basis of protection from BBs and stuff. If you're sleeping in an urban environment, in the game zone that's kind of continuous. This is obviously not BB rated in any way, but to me, it just gives that little bit of extra protection. So if, whilst I'm sleeping with my iPro, if it does fall off for whatever reason, I'm not just then having no iPro on it. It kind of just gives a bit of protection. But what this doesn't do is obviously provide any water protection. So Driffield, using that as a good example, some of the buildings up there, as Andy, you well know, are a bit leaky in places and surprise you when you least expect it. So what I managed to find on eBay was this. This is a kind of an overbasher that's shaped for the cot bed system. So it's effectively a rain fly for the cot beds. I don't think these were ever issued. But I'm hoping that this will basically satisfy my need instead of putting a basher over the top where the basher just slides off over time. It's a bit of a pain. So, yeah, quite excited about that.
It's made a tent.
I've basically bought another tent for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Les says Ross paid 130 with a Les discount.
Oh.
So, yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Yeah. Any purchases or news this week, Andy?
Yes. So I have some good
news, but yeah.
No, it was sort of formal news. So this is what I ran down to get. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Oh.
Ah. You're flaunting the patch.
Finally. So to get the patch, I ended up buying the micro setup for the bag. Because I wanted one anyway. Very impressed with it. Highly recommend. It's Molly, so it fits any system. Yeah, and I've redone all my cummerbund on my plate carrier, so it's more rigid. So I can run my radio against me now. So yeah, looking forward to giving that a try. But I am now officially a tester.
In that you buy their stuff and they send it to you.
Yeah. So far, I think I've bought everything on their list other than one set of pouches. Yeah, it's a good way of you getting to, oh yeah, I'm a tester, so I'm just going to buy all your stuff now. Yeah, they've collared me there, I think. But the one thing that I did like was the micro pack comes with its own bladder system, or it can come with the bladder system. Now, I thought this was a really simple idea for just keeping your, can you see that? It's literally, this is what they send, a Velcro tab. I was like, that's stupid, dumb, clever. Instead of the plastic thing that I had before, which snapped multiple times, this is literally just a bit of Velcro.
You know, they make little magnet ones that you can buy that magnetically, and then you don't have to do the tactical Velcro.
This came free.
Open.
But you're not going to be drinking if there's baddies about, are you? Like you're going to go.
You are.
I thought stupid, simple, bit of Velcro, job done.
Yeah.
And I like their little. This has got a lock on it. I highly recommend. Not because I'm a tester now, but I actually genuinely like this. This is a lot more better than the Source one, because this one, like, you can literally turn on and off, whereas the Source one, you have to pull the thing out.
That's a little lock on it.
No, this one's got a little. My one's just the pull.
I'm sure that's amazing. And no, the one I've got, you pull it out to open the valve, but it should also lock shut as well.
Oh no, I don't think. Well, it might do. I've never discovered that it locks. But this one, I can just put it in my mouth and suck. But no,
I can't wait to see the first product that you review. I like it because I can put it in my mouth and suck.
Yeah. Well, this will be the first one that I review, because they sent me an email saying they've just sent me an email saying, oh, we've noticed that you've bought the micro pack with the bladder. Please, can you review it? And I was like, of course. It's got Velcro and you can put it in your mouth.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I know I'm taking the piss, but I would love people to send me things to review them.
Oh, they sent me
an open and honest review to clarify. Like, because
oh, I need to speak to you about that as well, actually, about something.
Okay.
We may have.
Pegasus says this is his product review video.
Yes, Agilite. It's great. You put it in your mouth, you suck, you throw it back on. Job done. Love it.
Yeah,
genius.
Nice. I'll tell you what. If anyone, right, so this is a bit of a a cry for help, really, from our audience. But I've been trying to find quick release adapters from a reputable company to replace the ones on my plate carrier. So I'd previously bought the DM gear. You can't buy Agilite ones on their own before you say it.
Yes, you can.
I've looked on their website. They weren't
there.
They've
just released them. Well, I've got a set if you want one.
Oh, okay.
Or
yes, please.
Just buy their cummerbund.
Are they the magnetic ones?
No.
See, I want the magnetic ones because I really like, having tried the DM gear magnetic ones, like, it makes life so much easier for taking the cummerbund on and off rather than having to slide. So I really like that concept, but the tab broke. The actual plastic there is not reinforced enough. Paul says, get some of the amazing magnetic fidlock buckles. I'll have to look into those. Hello, Paul, by the way. But yeah, basically, I've been trying to find it. It's really hard to find like a decent set of QR adapters for plate carrier cummerbunds. A lot of plate carriers nowadays come with them built in. Not necessarily the magnetic ones, but yeah, be helpful if anybody can help. There you go. Thanks, Paul. Send me a Linkin Park. Or Link even. Yeah.
Linkin Park.
Yeah.
And they're getting back together as well.
Are they? It's a money-making scheme, isn't
it? They've got a woman singer now, though, because obviously the main one can't sing much anymore.
I don't know a lot about Linkin Park, so I don't know if that's a joke, if that's sarcasm, if someone... Oh, blimey, thanks, Paul. You didn't have to send the link in the chat.
So if anyone else is looking for them, the chat is there.
Pegasus says, have you seen the Ferro Cobra buckle ones, Mike? So I have. They're obviously the kind of, for the layman, they're kind of like the parachute style buckles, aren't they? But I don't like those as much. I really like the DM gear one that I bought. It was such a nice concept because it's literally these little small tabs either side. You just attach it onto the Velcro like that. The magnet works brilliantly, and the thing actually still works even though the pull tab has snapped off. The magnet and everything is brilliant. It doesn't disconnect itself. It's just hard to fiddle the thing open now.
See, what I've done with mine is that because obviously I've changed my cummerbund. One side's velcroed, and I know that's the side that doesn't open. And then I've literally just got one side that's the pull cord, like the QD system.
Yeah, you only need one side to open.
Yeah. So can't
but
you
that
just
was
swap
the one
them
side
round?
that snapped.
Can't you swap them round?
So what I have, this is the thing, I have another one because they came in pairs. So I actually have another magnetic one already, but I don't want to just put something on there that I know is going to fail at some point. Because the reason it's failed is that the system itself is not quite high enough spec of design that it's clearly
just wondering if you just buy a normal set
pin.
and just put magnets in them.
Possibly, although the normal set are obviously designed as a kind of cup and slide type mechanism, whereas this is effectively a clip on, and then that can unrelease itself. I'll have a little play around, and I mean, Stip says that there's definitely a market for 3D printed buckles. The thing is, you could happily 3D print this. I don't have a 3D printer or the expertise to be able to do that. But all it would need is a little bit of thickening on there on the little tab. And I tried contacting DM Gear and couldn't get through to them, which is awkward and a little annoying. But it's a good bit of kit. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm slating DM Gear because I actually quite like some of their stuff because it's cheap and it's a little bit different and unique. But it's just that little tab that fell off. It annoyed me. But hey ho. So, on tonight's show, we are going to be chatting about all sorts of camouflage. We did ask on last week if you have any unique styles of camouflage, so please send them to us. We had an absolute influx of 0 messages on the main channels and bits and pieces like that. I don't know if you got any, Andy?
Oh, did you not see the community chat blow up after last week?
No, I didn't, to be fair.
No. We have a community chat, Mike, where a lot of our listeners chat about the episodes.
Right, okay.
And there was some.
Sometimes have to wade in when things go Pete Tong on there.
but they did do. There was whole conversations. Obviously, I've been a bit busy, so at the moment, there is. I currently have 999 plus messages to read through on the community hub.
Yeah. So if you did send any camouflages through, I will dig some of them out throughout the episode that were mentioned on that chat. But if you want to throw any more into the comment section on here, you can do so on either Facebook or YouTube with the live buttons. Just let us know. But what we will talk about first is DIY camouflage. So, have you ever done any DIY camouflaging? Now, what we'll cover in this is obviously spray painting rifles, spray painting your kit and anything like that. You've obviously got things like the rust camo hoods and bits and pieces like that you can put together and kind of. They're not called ghillie suits. I always get in trouble.
Yeah, I had one
suit,
of the Viper hoods, like the Viper hood with the Batman cape, as I used to call it. Yep. So I did that. Not very well.
Did it work successfully?
It worked when I went to one specific location. Yeah. Which was long grass in summer, just as it was starting to die. Because that's all I had was, that weird stiff nylon-y sort of, not nylon.
Like the Hessian.
But the stuff you tie with the Hessian.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. That I don't know what it's called.
Hessian's made out.
Yeah. I had an absolute load of that, so I just threaded that through, and it worked really well in like one place at one time a year. Yeah, it worked brilliantly. Like literally, I had people like walk on me, but that was it. That's as far as my ghillie. No. That was as far as my ghillie skill, ghillie crafting expertise went.
Raffia, that's it. Stick the sniper. Got in
Raffia, yes.
Yeah. See, I quite like. I went through a bit of a phase of kind of mass producing different Viper hoods and things like that because I kind of a lot of the gameplay that we tend to play is not sniper based at all. So you kind of just want to have a little bit of additional color for like if you're doing OPs or anything like that. Just kind of when you're peeking your head over, got your face cam creamed up and stuff. Just a little bit of of vegetation or the like to kind of break up the rest of your head, which we talked about in the last episode. So I've made a snow one where I just had a whole load of white sheet that I cut up, and I think I actually put it on a tan coloured one because you can't get a white hood.
No.
So I tried doing that, which it wasn't terrible. I have to get all these out as well at some point. I'll lay them all out on different things. We can have a little bit of a review. I've made the high vis ghillie or ghillie hood, whatever you want to call it, which obviously posted a few pictures up a while ago.
Who has that now?
I've still got that. I've got that back now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It went over to Silly Ghillie for a little bit to have a little play around with. Yeah. But I need to get the AAP and the Makita set up on the AAP so that I can have it as my builder holster. So I really want to finish off like my little kind of tactical builder operator. The contractor.
The contractor.
So I've done that, and then I started playing around with dyeing different colours as well, because I sort of started getting into having loads of like jute and raffia and stuff, and trying to dye it different colours. I tried to bleach a scrim net scarf to make it white, because I thought if I could dye that down, because it was hard to buy like a white scrim net. It turns out the bleach just eats scrim net material. So it went white for about 30 seconds and then just slowly just disintegrated. So don't do that. That doesn't work.
Oh no! If we're going for dyeing, I've done dyeing. No, yeah. I've dyed. I had a pair of really crappy old, the old Gen 2 Viper trousers that everyone starts off with, the ones that the knees always fall out of before everything else. I had a set of them, and we were doing a game, and it was like a proper nighttime game. So I literally dyed them black, to see if I could make multicam black. No, they just went black. I was like, oh, okay, well they'll do, but they just went pure black. There was no difference in colours. They just went, nope. We'll just go over whatever's on there already. But I was just
might be able to do, I guess if you watered it down a little bit more, the dye packs.
Yeah, so it said for a pair of trousers, use a quarter of a pack.
Did you just use the whole pack?
No, I used less than that, but I didn't water it down much. I just poured it on in a bucket.
See, I tried to dye the jute, and I picked a load of colours from the Dylon colour wheel. So Dylon's a brand that make dyes. I think they're quite common in both the US and the UK. So I don't know where they sit worldwide. But I went on the colour wheel chart and kind of picked military greens and stuff like that, and managed to dye the product to what can only be described as closer to a teal. So it's very bluey. Progressed with the ghillie suit, or the ghillie hood, viper hood, whatever you want to call it, and then found that it was very noticeably not the right colour for any environment. So just be careful if you are going to make anything like that.
Yeah. See, Snip the Snipers said if you spray kit instead of dye, you can put it in the wash and undo if needed. So I tend to spray some clothes if I want them to look dirty, until they get dirty, if that makes sense. But this was just an old pair of trousers, and I just thought, yeah, I'll see what happens. Why not? I wasn't particularly bothered if they went pink. Like, to be honest, I was just like, let's just see, let's just do it.
So a little fun fact on camouflage about dyeing different colors is Cryptek Mandrake, or Cryptek. You know the Cryptek camouflage pattern. It's that kind of snake skin kind of effect. They used that in the recent Jurassic World series of films. So I think it was in the first Jurassic World. But they wanted a blue Cryptek, and the Cryptek Mandrake color was the wrong color. So because they wanted more of a blue than a black. So what they actually ended up doing was buying a load of the Cryptek kind of aridy tan colors and then dyeing that blue. It's a little fun fact for you. So if you're watching Jurassic World and you see I think it's the like the Dino Response Unit, or whatever it's called. I can't remember. It won't be ICU. Whatever they are. they're wearing a dyed version of Cryptek, which I thought was a fun little fact that I picked up. At one point.
We need that, and now you know. Banner, don't we? Really?
Or the oh, that's it. The ACU, Asset Containment Unit. That's the one. Thanks, John. So yeah, that's just a little thing. But I've never dyed any camouflage patterns or anything like that. The only thing I've ever done is sort of spray paints and bits and pieces.
I'd like to try and dye some, like, not my decent trousers, but I'd like to dye some of the, like, just test them out, if you know what I mean. Like, if I wanted to make sort of like a different sort of shade on my M81s.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I wanted a darker, yeah. M80 Point Bob. But no, I think dyeing can work really well if you've got the time and patience to test it and things like that.
I think that's the main thing. Test before you go in, balls to the wall, just having a go, test. Make sure you test.
Yeah. And don't listen to the instructions.
Oh no, I think you do have to listen to the instructions. But the thing that got me is with the dial-on dyes and everything like that, you have to use all the salts and everything like that to make sure it all stays in place, and the color fast bits and pieces like that. So you do just have to be careful with dyeing stuff, because the other thing is once you've dyed it, you have to freaking like wash that on its own for a fair while, because you're going to have everything come out the same color otherwise.
Yeah. And also as well, don't wear them straight away. Don't dye them and then leave them and then just go running around, because you'll, depending on the color, you from the waist down, you are going to look like someone else.
It's called green legs.
Yeah.
Harry says rattle cans of dirty brown or dirty down are good for weathering clothes, different colors. It's used in the movie industry. Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. Going back to the raffia conversation, the one thing I was just going to mention is from experience, if you are going to add camouflage-esque materials to whatever you're trying to camouflage, so be that you're making your own cam nets or anything like that, if you want to kind of add jute or raffia to sort of a scrim net or anything, just be super careful with adding too much of that, because I find it picks up an awful lot of thorns and every other little bit of vaguely barbed material in the woods. I built one of my Viper covers, took it to an Octo event, and I think I brought most of that wood back with me. It's still in the bag today because I cannot for the life of me untangle all this stuff. Like I've sat there in like multiple evenings just in front of the telly, just pulling bits of sticks and twigs and thorns and things out of this stuff. So if you're going to go down the route of like, yeah, this is going to be super tactical, just bear in mind that when you're rolling around in the bush asking for help because you're stuck to every little bit of vegetation out there, it's not quite so cool.
So have you ever done helmet covers with it? Like, because I know that you've got a couple of helmet covers, but they've come with the helmet. Have you ever done your own one?
So I have never bought a helmet cover that's scrimmed. I've only ever bought the nets. So if you've seen any of the helmets and that I've done, I've scrimmed them myself. The first one I did, funnily enough, was for the Falklands event that we did. I was trying to replicate a photo I saw of one of the paratroopers that sort of jumped in with the. It wasn't a Mark 6, but it was as close to the Mark 6 that I had to hand. So I got the full Mark 6 helmet. I bought the scrim net and everything, and then no, that's fine. I got an old pair of shorts that I basically cut into various strips. They were just some old camouflage shorts that I'd worn out, basically. So, where's the Grogu gone? I don't know where's Grogu gone. Are you talking about Lance? So yeah, basically like little camouflage strips of material and stuff like that. And if you do have any like bits of kit that are, they're falling apart, you're thinking about getting rid of them, rather than ever bin anything off, I always make sure to like cut the buttons off of it, because you never know when you need like odds and sods for stitching up bits of kit and the like. And it's funnily enough that some of the it's funnily enough that with the Oda surplus bag that we've had donated, some people have already kind of gone, oh, has anyone got any spare buttons, and sort of been directed my way, so I can cut all the buttons off of that and the like. So yeah, it's really handy. Just if you do ever find any bits of kit, like if try and reuse and recycle and all that, because ultimately there's no point going out and buying a whole load of bags of strips of like woodland DPM, because we've probably all got the old ratty pair of trousers that we can cut up and turn into something else. So
mine are black now.
Yeah, black scrim net would be quite cool.
Yeah, black scrim net.
Yeah. There you go, Les. I've got your buttons ready for you, mate. I did make a full black scrim hood for a Halloween thing. I've got a photo on my Facebook where I bought one of the skull masks.
Yeah.
And had that on there as well, which is, funnily enough, a nice little segue onto the next bit of the show where we're talking about kind of the psychology behind camouflage systems and having that kind of jump on the enemy, because things like we've all seen that photo of the guys coming out. I think they're like special forces for someone, but they've got scrim nets all over their heads and they've got their heads down and the helmets have like little glowing eyes, so it looks like they're demons coming out of the river. Which has an insane psychological effect, because as soon as you see something like that, there is an element of that kind of, oh right, okay, this is a little bit unusual, I don't know what I'm looking at, this is a bit scary. And you see that with, I don't know, I mean, even like classic ghillie suits. If you've got a ghillie suit that suddenly pops up, who hasn't been like, oh, didn't see you there? And you have that little jump. I mean, Andy, can you think of any scenarios where you've seen like some different camouflages and bits and pieces like that have terrified you? Well, not terrified per se, but you know what I mean? Caught you off guard.
So we've all seen the video. I can't remember who. Was it Silo that did the trash ghillie suit?
Perfect example.
That, like, genuinely, I was like, that's cheating. Like that, I was like genuinely, I'd walk past a pile of rubbish and not think twice about it. Like if you were on any airsoft site, if you saw a pile of rubbish like that, you'd literally just walk past it, and then all of a sudden you're getting knife killed. I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm done. Nope.
See, the other thing to consider with that as well, the first time that happens, because this is airsoft, so you're not dead, right? You are going to come back to life at some point and then continue playing the game. But now that's in your head. So you're going to be looking for piles of rubbish and you're going to be like, oh, and I think that actually happens, because reading sort of around the subject on that, I think that the enemy team to Silo were at that point just blapping random piles of rubbish because they weren't sure if there was anyone in there or not. So at that point, you've got an enemy team wasting ammo. They're alerting to where their position is, firing at a complete fake target.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's just
yeah.
The other one that I've seen was where he was wearing a ghillie suit. I can't remember who it was, but his rifle he'd clad so it looked like a fallen tree, like a fallen branch, and literally you could walk past it and not even see it.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's pretty cool.
It's cool if you're on their team.
Oh yeah. But that's why I run an LMG set. That's why I always take the LMG, because when the snipers start pissing me off in woodland area, I just start cutting down trees. I'm like, right, fine. I've had enough of being shot in the head. I'm going to deal with you now.
Yeah, full, is it Predator?
Yeah, full Predator mode. Yeah. But no, right. I genuinely like the level of skill within ghillie suits, especially within the UK at the moment, is phenomenal. Like even some of the second-hand ones that people are buying, just getting into it, like even them, they're still pretty good. And yeah, the guys that do it on a regular basis have literal seasons of ghillie suits. You can see the change, and they'll be like, right, autumn's here. That's it. Start getting the reds and the yellows out. And it's,
I mean,
I am impressed. There's this definite skill to it. Because if I did it, I'd look like a guy that stuck red and yellows onto a hood.
It'd be like something out of a Christmas shop, just like, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you see it all the time with. I mean, I'm going to use snipers in particular, but obviously anybody that's got, the ability to hide up and cause a problem for an opposing force. There's two issues with that. The first is that groups of players generally just panic. So you kind of get everyone go, oh, so and so got shot. I mean, there's no coordinated response. Everyone kind of beds down. The snipers then, held potentially like quite a sizable number of people in situ, and has the ability to kind of pick them off. But the other thing as well is that it causes a lot of grief because people, I think this is part of the reason with a lot of people moaning about headshots and the like. People don't like snipers because they can't see them. That's the bigger problem. Like, it's a lot easier to combat an enemy force that you can see and deal with. Whereas when you've got rounds coming in, you're going to get pissed off because you're like, I can't fucking see where the person's shooting me from. So it does have a negative effect on you. So,
but then there's the other end of the spectrum as well, especially with like me and Pegasus Ash, a prime example of that, where at Driffield up at HQ when we did the event, and me and him walked around dressed as high vis rolling around a bin. And we didn't get shot once. Well, I got shot because I walked into the middle of a firefight like an idiot, but no one like actively came at us.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's still camouflage because
that's the whole grey
you're hiding in
place. Yeah. You're blending in. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you make yourself so obvious that people actually don't think you're part of the game. Now, I'm not saying go to an airsoft game wearing a Marshall jacket and just start wandering around popping people. like that's but there's different levels of it as well, isn't there? So you can go from one extreme where you're like proper hidden away, all the way through to the extreme where you're literally hiding in plain sight.
Milsim and Op4 is a prime example for that, because if you've got an event whereby you have a civilian force that generally are actually civilians, they're not at some point in the event going to turn into rebels and everyone just goes gun blazing. If you have that shoot or no shoot scenario, if you're up against kind of a NATO style force or a full combat force that have rules of engagement, they aren't going to have the ability just to light you up. So if you need to do some sneaky stuff, try and be a pain, try and get into get a bit of intel or like move around the game zone. Sometimes just not shooting is going to be advantageous. I mean, we've talked about this before. I think it was actually the HQ event that we went to. I can't remember if you were there or not. I don't think you went. The latest one that we all went up to, the raid.
No, I didn't do raid. No,
you didn't do raid. So there's a few times where even just the simplest camouflage is just kind of sitting back in the shadows and just not making a noise, not shooting, not actively engaging, because that's not your prime target. That's a huge advantage. There's so many players out there that will just blap the first thing they see. They're out of range. They can't hit them. There's no reason to take them out, but they'll shoot them because they're an airsoft game and they've got an airsoft gun and they want to take them out. So it's so, you don't have to have thousands of pounds of complicated kit and everything like that. Sometimes just the best camouflage is just how you're moving. Like the same thing with like if you're a sniper in the woods, don't run through the woods. Because you see that quick movement. You're like, well, there's someone over there. Whereas if you've got someone that's moving slowly and everything like that, you don't catch the eye. And sometimes that can just be as effective a camouflage as actually having camouflage kit and blending in and looking like the nearest tree. So, do you want to talk about future camouflage? Because this is a topic I've been eagerly waiting to talk about.
Future camouflage.
Yeah, so we're obviously talking about the concepts of, you've got thermal, night vision, some things to consider on that front. You have, the ability to camouflage not just necessarily yourself, but your operations as well. So radios and walkie-talkies, for example, there's a massive issue in the Ukraine at the moment where people using electronic devices, they generate an electronic signature that can be picked up And that's not helping with utilizing aerial surveillance, because they then have a rough idea of where you are based on where the electromagnetic signals are coming from. They can send the surveillance over into that location, identify you, and that's where the drones and the artillery strikes and things are coming in. And that's happening on both sides. So things like, I'm going to mention it, but like field telephones, or non cloud-based communications, for example. So things that don't just generate a huge wide signal that anyone can kind of pick up on are an advantage on that front. But let's talk about mirrors. I want to talk about mirrors for a second, and sort of the camouflage hides. So have you seen the hunting hides, the mirrored plates and things like that? Have you ever used or kind of seen them in person?
I've never seen one in person. I've seen the videos and things of them. Like, I think between you, me, and Lance, we've had full-blown conversations about them, like not live. I think they're a good. I think they're cracking, right? But it's just bulky. Like, it is a mirror at the end of the day. So, like, any little scratch or something, or dent where it gets hit by a BB, would obviously distort that sort of image after a while, I reckon.
Yeah. You have like the
like idea is
house type effect where you go past it and you've got
yeah, just see this head. But also as well, like, it's a massive, like, someone did a video of it where they did it with thermal. So you've got like all the indents of the bracken and the trees and things like that, and you're picking out things, and then there's this just cold spot square. Just I think they could be there. Like, it was like, where you see all the operators and people that don't like their faces being, where you've just got that square box over their eyes. It's just like that in the woodland. Like, this bush does not want to be seen.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? With the whole multispectral camouflage, you've got, if you're trying to evade all three, then you need to consider all three effectively. So the mirror, for example, is a really good visual camouflage. I don't know how it would work on night vision. I assume it would probably be very similar to the same sort of visual thing, because obviously it's
no, not really, because
discrepancy. I don't know.
It's the light, isn't it? Like, so night vision works by amplifying what little light there is. So it's still a visual. It's still a visual device. It's not. It's not like it's picking up.
Yeah, but I don't know with the mirror whether, because that's obviously reflecting the light off the ground. So whether you would be able to tell that there's difference.
I shall put my night vision on, and I'm going to go and look in the mirror after this.
Sit in the bathroom
on my own. No, we got a big mirror in the hallway, so I'll put it on and see what happens. But I think you see yourself, because you can see through glass with night vision.
Well, that's the thing with thermal as well, because technically, if that mirror, so obviously the way the mirror systems work is that they're a sort of slight angle, aren't they, outwards? So they effectively reflect what's on the ground back towards you. So if you're sort of sitting in bushes and things like that, it will pick up those bushes, and you will, from a distance, effectively just see the bushes that are sitting around the mirror setup. You're right on the thermal perspective, but if the mirror was pointing at you, you'd effectively see yourself in the thermal anyway.
Well, no, you wouldn't see your thermal, because your heat would have to be absorbed by what you're looking at.
No, I think it bounces off the glass. I'm pretty certain, because I know Lance obviously had the issue where they attacked the caravan at APOC, which was bouncing off the glass because they hadn't realised that the thermal was basically picking up their own signature, because I think that bounces the radiation back on that front. I might be wrong. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a thermal expert,
because I know if you lean against a tree for like 2-3 minutes and then move off, it will still pick up your outline on the thermal for a good few minutes afterwards. Because if you put your hand on a sheet of glass, you'd see your handprint heat up the glass, so you'd see the handprint. But then when you moved it away, it still looked like your hand's there.
Yeah, until that heat dissipates.
Yeah.
The glass and mirror reflect the thermal. Pegasus. So, obviously, mirrors are not a be all and end all. They're not like the ultimate scenario. But so I've always considered the idea of a ballistic shield with a cam net on it. So if you had a large enough shield, so the shield's obviously going to block your thermal radiation from coming through, and you have to consider obviously hotspots and things like that. But assuming that you can effectively breach any thermal bridging that's happening between where you're holding that and the other side, you're going to be able to provide that level of camouflage from your thermal signature because you physically can't see it. If you have someone standing behind a tree, you can't see the person behind the tree. But that's where the night vision aspect comes in, because there's so many people that are running either dual night vision and thermal, or you've got teams where you've got a mix and match. Having that camouflage net or woodland approach or anything like that on the front of your shield is going to give you that advantage on that. So as long as you don't, as you say, stand there with some big rectangle of camouflage in the middle of a bare field or something like that, then for the most part you should be able to be sort of quite hidden from sort of any observers.
Because the one thing that I'd quite like to see and have people test is, have you seen that invisible sheeting that you can make yourself?
Oh, the perspex type thing.
Yeah, it's like a frosted perspex, but when you stand behind it,
yes,
it basically distorts your light. Yeah. I'd quite like to see how that would look through thermal and night vision, because I would presume that that's probably the same as maybe just a sheet of glass. Like, would it reflect that back to you? Because it's not actually, it's bending the light, isn't it? So it's not reflecting. Yeah. See, that's what I mean. I wonder how that would look.
I guess it would depend on the angle. So obviously, if you're going to come up with one with thermal or anything like that, don't walk up with a flat surface. You probably want to be angling that away anyway, so you don't get that reflection. Sorry. It'd be interesting to know whether the thermal signature comes through, because obviously, whilst the visual signature is passing around with the light bending on those, I wonder if the thermal comes through like some, like those eyeglasses with like all the different lenses and stuff that you rotate, whether you just end up with this kind of weird spectral pattern.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I'm being attacked by bees.
Yeah.
Lots of people.
Just sitting like
that. I'm really interested to see if, whether thermal camouflage or whatever kind of comes in more as technology develops, really, because it's obviously a growing and emerging thing. We're now seeing more and more kind of ghillie suit kind of setups and things like that, where they have to hide from the thermal and the night vision. You've got drones equipped with it now.
Well, you can get it on like publicly owned drones now, like thermal. Yeah. Like literally, you can just go down to the shop and buy a drone with thermal capabilities, which is kind of cool.
I sort of wonder whether bashers and things like that, whether they'll start coming with various new linings and stuff like that as kind of the technology becomes more commercially viable. Because ultimately, a basher itself is quite good at blocking that thermal signature, but it just depends on how hot it is the other side of it. If you're having a tent set up, you obviously don't want to have a tent. You got a couple people in there kind of trying to stay warm on a particularly cold night. You don't want that to be some beacon of thermal visibility, for lack of a better term, where you've got this like bulge of color appearing as a hotspot. So you're going to need some sort of way of breaking that up, because all right, the bodies might not be directly on the fabric enough to transfer that heat through, but if that tent's going to be at reasonable temperature to keep the people inside a nice condition, then that's going to be at different temperatures the outside. So
because at that point you're probably going to end up putting your tent basher and then a basher over the top of that with a bit of a gap. So you're dissipating the heat through the first basher, and then whatever heat does come out isn't being picked up from from above or from the angle. So you're technically building yourself like 2 or 3 tents.
Yeah, you'd have to put a tent over your tent as well, because I mean the basher, for all intents and purposes, is a sheet. So yeah, it's great if you put one above your tent, but from the side angle or anything like that, you can't cover the whole thing. And the more layers that you put there, you're just going to make this massive blob, which, you know, okay, it's not necessarily emitting a thermal signature, but if you've got, oh, well, there's clearly something over there because of the outline and shape of it. Harry says, Mike, look up Kickstarter Invisibility Shield. It's a real activity. Invisibility Shield. It's a very clever system by Invisibility Shield Company. I'll look into that. I don't know if that's the thing that we were talking about.
I think that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there've been quite a lot of articles and stuff from them. You can make your own version of it at home. Like if you put DIY invisible glass, there's a couple out there that.
But it comes back to the perspective issue as well, because obviously that's very directional as to where that's going to work. So unless if you're in an OP position, fine.
Is it?
You can kind
of directional.
Well, it's going to be directional because if it's only that wide, I can only have one between you and me, for example, whereas I'd need 3 or 4 to build any reasonable perimeter. And I don't know if you start changing the angle on it, whether it works from that perspective.
Right, gotcha.
I don't know. So I'm not an expert in these. We might have to we'll have to reach out to the invisibility company.
Yeah.
Invisibility Shield Company. Stip says Gillies have had anti-thermal for years, but translating it to other kit is a challenge. Beating NVGs is easy enough, but thermal needs a lot more work. So
yeah, night vision is pretty. Basically, night vision gives you advantage. But if you're lying in long grass and not moving, I'm still probably going to walk past you, like wearing a ghillie. Like unless you've got something that's got massive IR reflexivity on it, that's going to catch my eye. Like if you've got like any sort of like DPM patterns or anything on that, I could quite easily walk past someone in a ghillie suit that's been built properly. But then again,
you see it in airsoft. I mean, we've had numbers of events where snipers and sort of well concealed players have managed to get past teams equipped with MVG. And I think it's probably just the case of there isn't so much thermal in airsoft at the moment. It's coming in, but it's not been like a massive, I think far more players have MVG than I think have thermal, as a general rule of thumb. But thermal is becoming cheaper, and as the technology develops and prices come down, there will be more and more of it. And it will be as well that the counter systems for that will come into play, because they'll have to. You can't have this disbalance between trying to be hidden and trying to detect the people that are hidden. It's the same as there was a quote I saw the other day, which is bulletproof shields and bulletproof vests and stuff like that. They're only bulletproof up to the rate that they're designed for, because as soon as you come up with a system that's I can defend myself to this, someone's going to go, well, all right, well, I've created a bullet that will do that. And then the go, all right, well, now we've got to defeat that bullet, and it just keeps stepping up on that.
But they're already using like thermal cloaks and things over in Ukraine. Like there's been a couple of articles that have popped up and said like where they're already implementing, especially for like the snipers and the recon units over there. They're already testing out like anti-thermal gear, like stand-up anti-thermal gear. Although one looked like it was just the one that I saw, it just looked like a great coat that had been lined with silver foil, like inches of like the poor guy wearing it looked weighted. I was like, that's not something you want to be running around with.
I mean, the other thing as well, the more heat that you trap, the more heat that basically is now just sitting around you. So if you're running around in, you know, particularly hot conditions or whatever like that, or if, you know, I'm quite a sweaty guy, the thought of, I mean, even ghillie suits for me, well, that's just going to make me more stand out a lot more, sorry, with thermal anyway, because I'm just going to be sitting and roasting in this.
So where your neck is, it would just be like, you look like like, oh, what's the one, what's the guy that turns his head into a skull on fire?
Oh, Ghost Rider.
You'd look like that. You take your hood off and it would just be like that. Oh my God.
That comes back to the psychology at that point again. Right? We're fighting the fire, people. Let's just dive into the camos. The comments section. I was going to say the camera section then.
Let's dive into
John Stockman. I put British DDPM through with an OD dye. Turned out all right and good in the summer.
I like the sound of that.
Interesting. I would be interested to know, John, how similar was that to just DPM? Because I would imagine that it's somewhere in the middle.
I wouldn't have thought so, because it'd be a different color palette, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's not all OD, is it? DPM.
No, but I mean, it's obviously going to be. I would imagine it's closer to a DPM than the DDPM at that point.
I would have thought it would have been a lighter.
I'd like to see a picture, though. I reckon that would look quite cool. I'd be interested to see that. I mean, you're going to Marky Mark, who obviously listens, who loves his DDPM.
Oh, he's probably crying. He's twitching. Oh, my God.
James says, definitely Flectarn for me, or the World War II Splinter camo. So the Splinter Mitten Flan, or whatever it was that we talked about last week.
Flectarn.
One of the earlier. Yeah. No, it's not Flectarn. So the Splinter, I can't remember the name of it, Splinter Mitten Tarn or something like that was like one of the first German camos. And kind of one of the first camos that were sort of properly used as a camouflage. John says, nah, from now on, the rubbish pile is getting rattled. Just light them up regardless. There's going to be so many fires because people will just be lobbing Mark 5s and piles of rubbish, and it's just going to be everyone.
Mark 7 or multi-bang mortars at close range, right? You're going to call this.
James says the worst one was the moving pipe he used for a game. Oh yeah, did you see that? So he had like the
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's like you know, kids' play tunnels that collapse down.
Oh yeah.
So it was like that, but it was like the industrial venting tube. It's like the silver.
Oh, the big corrugated self-bending, yeah.
Which is, I think it was from a British TV sitcom. It's like Scott Squad or something like that. The police. So they're chasing someone behind a warehouse, and it turns out that the guy that they're chasing just basically gets into this tunnel and hides up against the building, and he looks like a bit of industrial ducting. And I think Silo used the same thing on an event, and I think it worked just as well because it is brilliant. But again, after the first time, now all those industrial ducts are just going to get shot to shit.
Yeah. Although annoyingly, if you're the only one.
Yes.
Like, it will work for about 10 minutes, and then people are like, right, well, let's just light that up. See, what I'd do is I'd walk past,
grenade over there,
lift it, and then just roll a Mark 5 underneath and close it. Enjoy that. Or a smoke and hold it down.
Oh no, a smoke would be a nightmare. You just have this, it would look like a flailing cigarette, wouldn't it?
Yeah. A burning inflatable tube man.
Yeah. But that's the thing, it works. You know, if you can blend into the scenario that you're in, it's going to work. But the problem is that person who you've shot is going to come back alive. So you really have to kind of maximize the use of these things. Landnav Challenge says, if you make an A-frame with a mylar blanket between two bashes and have it orientated so that the wind is traveling through, it will keep you hidden. Good shout. Although I would imagine if you've got the mylar blanket with the two bashes, you're probably going to be okay anyway, unless you've got the ends covered. Because you're not going to be trapping a lot of heat in there, are you?
No, but then you don't want the trap. You don't actually want to trap the heat, because then
no, but that's what I'm saying. I think with the open ends, you wouldn't be trapping enough heat for that to build up anyway. I don't know. I mean, that might be a science point at some point.
We need to. I feel like this has brought up some science.
I hope you're taking notes, Andy. You'll have to put the science squad together.
I'll just be like, that was a good episode. I'll listen to that.
Landnav also says people don't train to look for people under MVG. People just go for a walk at night.
Mm-hmm. See, what I do is I let my dog off and try and find my dog because he's a pain in the ass. Although it doesn't help that he's white. I might need to dye my dog.
You were going to for one show. You were going to dye.
Yeah, our next charity job. Yeah, I've already got permission. She was like, "You're going to dye it and cut the dog so he looks like a fox." I was like, "Yeah," and she was like, "You have my permission." I was like, "Result."
Now, see, Stips comes up with some interesting stuff on here. So, trick is to play against thermal and MVG the same way you'd play in broad daylight. Use cover. Too many players at night think they're invisible, walking around in the open.
Yes.
But he also says that you could look at PC liquid cooling systems and just have some pipes running cold water around your kit. So I have been for a while kind of slowly putting together an EOD kind of ATO bomb disposal loadout. Andy and I have had aspirations. Andy was going to build a EOD robot.
Then I got squashed.
And then he got squashed. But
we're just going to buy one now.
Yeah. We're just basically working towards, if we ever have enough money, we're just kind of working towards having this kind of ATO EOD capability, basically. And then I've also been looking at making some kind of custom EODs, which obviously are trying to avoid actually making any bombs. But the idea of these boxes is that, they've got panels on that you can unscrew and stuff. So whoever puts it together in terms of like the bomb maker, they can effectively program different ways that this EOD would work, so that when the EOD team turn up, it's not just a case of, right, I'm going to defuse this by standing here for 30 minutes. They actually have to unscrew panels. They have to, there'll be a manual somewhere that they're having to flick through to go, right, well, if I get to this scenario, I've had that happen and that happen, I've got to disconnect that wire to kind of make the EOD element a little bit more interesting.
Yes.
But they do sell the bomb suit cooling suits. You can get them on eBay. They're not very cheap. But no, I have to press, I did see them on there thinking that would be quite a quirky thing to run around with a ghillie suit over the top of it. Because there's no reason why it wouldn't work.
No, I can't.
You wouldn't like you're wearing a wetsuit under a ghillie suit, but it'd be, yeah. It's a novel concept.
Until one gets shot, then you just stop.
Well, that's the thing.
Start melting.
There's this cold stream of air just coming out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So if anyone has a bomb disposal cooling set that they want to test out for us, be interesting to see how that works.
Or an EOD robot they want us to play around with for a little while. Happy to test anything. I
was so on eBay again. It popped up that someone's selling a old school bomb disposal camera setup. So it comes with like the screen system and the cabling, and you basically set the camera up by the bomb so that when someone's like disarming it or whatever, the person back here can kind of provide technical support. And they brought it down in price, but it's so old school. It's got like a proper little bulb light in it, so it's not like an LED or anything like that. And I was like, it's cool, but you can definitely replicate that with like a more modern setup of just like a little LCD.
All you really need is just a Ring doorbell now. No, I just put a Ring doorbell there and just have it on live view. Yeah. Okay.
Sitting there in a high stress scenario and all of a sudden goes doo doo doo.
That's one thing. That's one thing that I have noticed. I when I last took the dog for a walk wearing the MVG, when I came back I kept it on because the lights had gone out on the street, and oh my god, do Ring doorbells give out some IR light? I'm like that. Okay, I actually need to take that off because now I'm blind in one eye. Yeah. And everyone has one along here, so I was like, brilliant.
You can get the PIR sensors and things as well, don't you, that have the IR lights in them? Because I know I've been to a couple of events where people have brought those along to kind of rig up a virtual net, I guess, or defensive line. So if you wander through it, you get this big beam of light come out. But you're right. If you've got a device that's emitting an IR signature, and even some of the night vision that relies like the cheaper systems, because you get it all the time on like Facebook and that, like advertising companies go, yeah, we've got this really cheap night vision device. It's because it's got a fucking massive IR torch on it, basically. Apologise, my phone's on. Which is obviously just going to advertise your position again. So, less says a Ring doorbell would be a wicked idea for the fob.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you set it up for motion sensor.
Yeah.
That like it alerts to your phone.
What's the code?
Yeah. But it's all wireless, right, isn't it? It's all wireless now.
Well, it is a wireless, but doesn't it rely on a wireless network to be in place? So you'd have to set up some sort of.
Yeah, I think you'd have to have a Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah. Which then you're just going around the woods looking for the hidden fob. You're like, oh, hidden fob 2. Well, the Wi-Fi signal's getting stronger over here.
Yeah. That's combating. Like that's combating your camouflage. Yeah. At that point. So you've set up your camouflage fob, but you've got a dongle there that's transmitting like a Wi-Fi signal, and once they work that out, like your camouflage becomes pointless.
But then you can use deceptive Wi-Fi signals, go and set dongles up around the woods.
Yeah.
The site becomes the most Wi-Fi enabled site.
Yeah. You got planes landing like there's so much signal.
Right, I'm conscious of the time, so let's talk about the best gear for players on a budget. So obviously, you've got Joe Blogs or Joette Blogs or whoever. They're going. Oh, I want to get more camouflaged. So I've rocked up. I've done my 3 games or whatever like that. I've been wearing my trackies and my sensible shoes and my full face mask. But I want to get into a little bit more. So what do we think is kind of the go-to camouflage that you should buy nowadays?
That's hard because it all depends on what. If you wanted to do more NATO inspired, then obviously you just got like your first choice would be multicam. But if you wanted to go something a little bit more different, I would like that could be allowed by organizers would be DPM. I think that's although that's tends to be used for rebel forces and stuff now, doesn't it? DPM's a good shout. M81, which is the American version. AOR2 and maybe Marpat if you like the digital sort of colors. AOR2 is quite hard to get hold of in the UK. Marpat's not too bad. Yeah, it's a tough one.
I like the
like the camo wise because it's so many.
It used to be DPM, didn't it? Because there was so much DPM kit floating around. I think it's probably now obviously more multicam. Like if you go to any military surplus shop, there's gonna be so much multicam in there. Like you can pick up a pair of trousers and the top. You're probably walking out of there for like 30-40 quid at the most, with a reasonable setup of loadout. But I think that's probably. I think kind of alluded to this last week, but it's because that's what there's a lot of. So you're going to get that cheaper because there's, this stuff's mass produced. So it's not going to be some unique specialist item that you're trying to get hold of.
See, I find that MTP is harder, is easier to get hold of than multicam. And I think a lot of people get confused between the two.
It kind of get lumped in, doesn't it?
Yeah. So like, if you want multicam, make sure that it is multicam. If you want MTP, make sure that it's MTP, because when you put the two together, it'll all stand out. There's quite a big difference visually. Multicam's a lot more finer. Someone will know, but there's like there's a certain pattern on multicam that MTP doesn't have. I just basically look for the stamp of multicam, because that's what they're like. It's going to be somewhere. Yeah,
I like the Helicon Tech stuff that's camo grom. Because that's the thing, isn't it? There's so much licensing stuff around different camouflage patterns that to get an actual multicam is there's so many companies out there that just go, all right. I mean, DD Tops, for example, they've obviously got their woodland camo that is.
I actually really like that.
I do quite
like
it as well.
The bubble sort of woodland cat. So it's a cross between Bubbles and like M81 and DPM, isn't it? It's like the two.
It's very brown.
I think it's really I really like it for winter. For winter, it's bob on. That's.
I think we'll have to do a Facebook poll on different camouflages. Maybe we'll throw it up on there, or maybe on Instagram. I think we could probably do it on Instagram for like vote for your favourite camouflage. That might be entertaining. See what comes out. Ooh, I see what you've just flagged. That's a good question.
Yeah.
So Les asks, what's the worst camo that's out there? This is going to be subjective. It's going to be so subjective.
It is.
Objective.
So the one that I do not like, and you like, if someone gave me a full kit with it, I'd never wear it. Is the China's People Liberation Army blues? It's like 2 light blues with a random bit of orange in it. And I'm like, why? Well, that does nothing. Like literally, I think it's ceremonial, but it makes them look like it makes them look like toys. Like, if someone came attacking at me wearing that, I wouldn't take them seriously. I'd be like, really?
Yeah. I mean, we obviously mentioned the North Korea one last week as well, which is the very bright green, like super bright green. I think for me that,
although I know it sounds silly, I'd like to get hold of some North Korean stuff and just rock up to an event and be like,
I don't think we'd fit it, Andy. I think that most North Korean uniforms are probably going to be a little bit small for us.
Yeah. Do you do it in extra large? We do it in extra small, which is the maximum that we do.
It's funny though, when Les asks that, I think the first thing that came to my mind was the Ali G mold, like the DPM, like no, but in terms of if it's a practical camouflage, all the different color camouflage kits is obviously going to be terrible. Trying to blend in with other camouflage, like.
The one that I don't get is, I can't remember which country it is. It's one of the Asian countries. It's like Cambodia or somewhere like that. And they have a search and rescue team, which wears black and orange camo. Now, I understand you are going to stand out slightly, but you're wearing camo. It'll be like you and me turning up to site wearing that and going, what? We're in high vis.
It's there's a really hilarious picture of the British Royal Engineers, where they've got a guy in full camouflage kit with a high vis vest on. You're like, dude, just make your mind up. Like, do you want to be seen or not?
Yeah. T-block camo. Which one's that one? Just having a quick.
No, that's fine. I think for me, it's going to be location dependent, because ultimately, if I'm out in the woods, then if you were to ask me that question out in the woods, then obviously any snow camouflage, if it's in the middle of the summer, snow camouflage is going to be the worst, because it's going to be bright white and it's going to be an absolute nightmare. If you're out and about it, no, go on.
Yeah, no, go on.
If you're out about at night, black camouflages, your black multicam, plain black kit, etc., is going to give you an advantage. Because it's dark, you're obviously going to be able to blend in. You don't have any bright colors that if you have a sudden torch shine across, it's not going to stand out as much. I don't know. I think there was the Belgian one that we saw the other day that was really bright that I didn't really like when we were talking about it. The puzzle camo, the Belgian puzzle camo.
Oh.
I'm going to say something really controversial now. I'm not a huge fan of the tiger stripe pattern.
What? Get out. Right. I'm going to kick him out. I
just
like it.
I'm not as much of a fan of it. I don't know why, but it to me it's not.
It's a love it or hate
I,
it. It's a Marmite.
Yeah, very
a Marmite
Marmite.
one.
And I'm not just saying that because you've got it on your hat. I'm just not a huge fan.
So
yeah,
James said T block camo. Now I've just had a quick Google search of that, and it looks interesting. I'm not going to lie. Let's see if we can share that. Should we share that?
Is that the one that's kind of? That's not the dead. Oh, it's that one. Oh, okay.
Is that the one that you're referring to? Because I can see why they've put it down as experimental.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of
like it. It looks like the sort of camouflage where you're trying to hide the pattern of the shirt, as opposed to like they do with cars. So that kind of weird patterning that they put on cars make it look like zebras or anything like that. It kind of looks like that.
Yeah. See, I feel like if you stood in front of a Tetris store, you blend in quite well. See, the other one that I know that
it looks like a camo pattern not found, doesn't it?
Yeah. All it needs is the little spinning circle in the middle saying loading.
Yeah.
The one that
100% against it. I think it's quite quirky. It's the sort of thing that I can maybe see wearing more casually. So not necessarily to like an airsoft event, but just like rocking around in like a shirt or something like that. Maybe not with US Marines written across it, but
because the other one that I'm I like, but I know loads of people dislike it, is the nighttime desert camo. Now, a lot of people say that it's horrid, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, so that's what I wasn't quite sure when he said T block, because that's the dots, isn't it? And then you've got kind of like one or two dots missing.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get it up. Well, can't do that.
While you're doing that, Stip says if a torch shines across green bushes and you're wearing black, will it not highlight you against the green? So yes, it obviously will. What I'm talking about is more if you're in shadows or anything like that. If you're sort of trying to blend into shadows and you kind of have a general torch sweep. If you're wearing any camouflage and you're standing, 5 meters away from someone in the dark and then someone pans a torch across, you're going to see them. I'm talking sort of more from a distance perspective on that. So I don't disagree with you, Stip. But I'm just suggesting that black for me during the day is terrible, but probably not as bad at night. Snow camouflage is obviously really, really good when it's snowing, but not in any other scenario.
Yeah. There you go. We had that. So that one.
Yeah.
The one where it's basically just a grid with a couple of dots on it.
Does that actually work? I don't understand the rationale behind that. Like, I'm not against it as a pattern, but I don't get.
I've never been to I have been to a desert, but I've never been out to a desert at night, so I don't know how well that would stand up. It must work because they still use it, don't they? Or some sections still use it, or some units still use it, don't they?
So, Les has also asked, "What's our best camouflage pattern?" And I'm personally going to answer this with my favorite camouflage pattern as opposed to what is the most practical, right? So has anyone ever seen Space Force on Netflix? It's
No.
I can't remember the name of the guy, Steve Carell. So it's a program with him on it, and they had. So this is kind of a bit of a piss take on the US Space Force unit, and they had these uniforms made up which are moon pattern because it's Space Force, and I just think they look cool. I'm not going to lie. I just think it's a quirky idea. Your Space Force, where you're going to blend in. I'm going to blend in on the moon, so I'm going to wear.
Yeah.
I really like the concept of bricolage. I'm still trying to find someone to make me a bricolage U-back. But I mean, from a practical camouflage, probably M81 from British Woods. things like that. I just like an M81. Woodland DPM's probably a close second. I think I just like the M81 because of my American heritage. I just kind of got a bit of an affinity for it. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'll be honest. At least
it works really well in the UK. It does work really well.
At least we can say that on this show,
Tiger stripe trousers with
we're not
M81
afraid
top.
to come out with our opinions, Andy. This is a safe space.
No, you're wrong. No, like tiger stripe trousers with M81 top, multicam plate, multicam
you
black.
Just read all the camouflage then.
Yeah, I'll just be like
that. Yeah. Bright red socks.
Yeah, clown nose.
Oh, actually, I'll tell you what. There's so many good camouflages in films. I'm going to find another one. But Stip doesn't like multicam black. I must profess, it's not a particularly good camouflage in my opinion. Not to say it's good or bad. It obviously, I guess that there are certain scenarios. Yeah,
that was voted like favorite multicam at some point.
What was the film series where they were living in a city? Divergent. Did you ever watch the Divergent series of films?
I have, but a long time ago.
So,
what the red ammo, the red.
Yeah. So they're in a location that's basically very kind of. I think their uniforms, to be fair, change color.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of a red, kind of Mars-esque kind of look. I must profess.
Yeah, because it changes color when they're in certain, like when they're in the buildings and things, it turns red or.
Yeah, there you go. Oh. So that's that kind of, the ground's red, etc. So obviously their camouflage uniforms are red. I think that's quite a cool pattern. Just something a bit different and quirky again. I must profess, I remember it more fondly than I am looking at that now.
It's because it changed color, really. That was your.
Yeah. That would be cool if you could come up with that, like a proper chameleon camo. Right. Anyway, we're starting to waffle, so we probably better draw it to an end. Is there anything we've missed off, Andy? You think from the whole realm of camouflage discussion that we've had over the last 3 cumulative hours of time?
No, but I've just noticed that someone's selling Divergent camo on uniform props.
Oh, well, that's probably the prop stuff in it. It's going to be all sweaty.
Right. Sweaty. Oh, it comes from the person that buys used army DPM.
I watch it. The Colony as well. I don't know if you ever watched The Colony TV series on Netflix as well. So that they had red hats. Red hats.
What, just red hats?
No, well, basically, yeah. So basically, they were black, and then they had. I'll find them on here. That's kind of, I guess, more of a black multicam almost. Hang on, sorry, I'm just trying to find a picture. Come on, right, bring that up. So that again.
Oh right, yeah,
a cool style in my mind. Like it was quite a stylized approach, like the patches and everything like that, kind of with those red accents and things. I always thought was quite cool. Yeah, I mean, the main thing for me, to be honest with you, is an element of uniformity.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have football teams that go out and they all look, and any sports team really, but everyone wears the team colours. And I think that's the thing for me that just kind of makes the look better.
Yeah.
So obviously you don't want to be prancing around in bright yellow or anything like that in the woods because it's going to stand out. So as long as you've got like a decent camouflage pattern, fine. But I think the uniformity is key for helping with PID. It kind of just builds that team aesthetic a little bit more. There's so many events where you go to where kind of you throw teams together and they're all wearing mixed match and stuff like that because they're not kind of working together on that front. So obviously uniform rules and things like that, different events are quite important. because it means that ultimately one team can PID another team and they know that they're on the same ultimate force. But I think if you get a style together and everyone can kind of blend that together, then you don't have the whole it looks odd or out of place because you've got other people wearing it. So if you've got one person rocking up in that divergent red camo, they're going to look strange because everyone else is wearing like multi-cam or something like that.
Proper
Whereas
camo.
if everyone's wearing it, it builds that look. But from an actual camouflage perspective, it obviously needs to be practical. Come on then, I can see you lining something up in the green room. What have you found?
So, I found what I think is probably going to be my new camo for the next year.
Okay.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because it's
Agilite, mate, anything in that though.
They will do. It is. I can't remember what it was called. Oh, it's all gone. It's all gone funny.
I think it was
Swedish.
fractal camo or something like
that. Swedish M90, I think it was. Has it gone? Bastards.
There you go. In the middle of the screen. Down. Right there.
Swedish M90 Forest. Swedish M90 Forest camo pattern. I like it.
Yeah. So you'll have a t-shirt and some trousers and that'll be it.
I'll just have shorts. Just a pair of shorts.
Yeah, because the Swedish are hardened people. So they don't wear trousers or anything like that. It's just year-round shorts.
Have you seen the lizard? What is it? Greek lizard?
No, I haven't. While you're finding that, if you want to, if you get in touch with the show, you can do so on our email at nofochat@hotmail.com. Our email is nofochat@hotmail.com. Instagram's at November_Foxtrot_NoFo. And the website's novemberfoxtrot.co.uk. You can also get in touch with us on our own personal Instagrams of @9voltairsoft, @callsign_quartermaster, or @the_punished_1_ if you want to get hold of Lance. I'm hoping Lance will be back next week. Good. Marky Mark says that M90 is what my mate James is currently using.
Yeah, that M90, the M90 is cool. This is the Greek lizard. That's pretty
that looks
cool.
Very similar to your hat.
It looks nothing like my hat.
It's not too dissimilar. It's just a slightly different color scheme.
I would take it off, but I just blind everyone with my baldness.
No, that's fine. That's fine. For the life of me, I can't remember what we were going to talk about next week. I know we have it all lined up, but
I don't care because I'm going to be here.
Too much other stuff going on. So Andy's going to be on holiday as of next week. He's whisking himself away to far-flung regions of the earth.
America. Because he clearly forgot.
No, I knew where you were going. I was just trying to find out. I don't think we actually said what we were doing next week. Oh no,
I think
that's it. We're transitioning into winter. That's what we're doing.
Yes,
it's obviously coming to the end of the summer. We'll be talking about getting your kit ready for winter, things to consider, some pieces that the three of us are obviously going to be bringing into account for our kits as well. If you want to give a thumbs up, a like, or anything like that to the show, please do so on Facebook, YouTube, or if you want to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I think you can do them on Spotify now, but you can definitely do them on Facebook as well. So please, if you would like to, feel free to do that. In the meantime, have a good week. Andy, do you want the closing words on Camouflage, our Camouflage mini-series?
Yes. Wear camouflage. Stay hidden from your enemies.
No, nailed it.
Nailed it. Just
man, I'll tell you what, right?
I need a holiday. I am desperate for this holiday.
I had a filling put in today and my face is on fire.
Oh, is it?
I'm in so much pain and I've been in pain most of the day. So have a good week. We'll see you next week. Wednesday, 8:00. Landy won't be here. Lance hopefully will.
I won't be here. I'll be tooting along.
Yeah. So stay NoFo. Ciao.
Stay NoFo.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella. Miss you, Lance.
And as my daughter has learnt this week, arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Oh, yeah, she said that when I joined the chat, didn't she?
Yeah. She didn't see you pop up. That's all.
Bye then.
Right. See you next week. Have a good one.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, hang on. I forgot where's the outro. There it is.
What's he doing now?
I missed
Oh.
the game.
Lance, come back. And that's all, folks.